Today, we're diving into a massive question. In a world that's basically run by AI, who should own the value of the data that makes it all work? We're going to explore a really radical new answer called assetification. It's an idea that could genuinely change everything. So let's get right into it.
All right, first, let's just talk about scale. The AI industry is already a giant, valued at over $200 billion, and it is growing unbelievably fast. It's reshaping, well, everything, from how we develop new medicines to how we make movies. And every single bit of it, every algorithm is built on just one thing, data.
And that leads us to the critical question, right? If data is the oil for this multi-billion-dollar engine, who actually gets to own the value that oil creates? Who gets a piece of the pie? The truth is, for the huge majority of people who create that data, who label it, who refine it, the answer is nothing. A big fat zero. Their work is absolutely essential, but it's economically invisible. But today, we're going to look at a new model that wants to fix that fundamental problem.
So to really understand the solution, we've got to get our heads around the problem first. The entire foundation of modern AI is built on this kind of hidden world of untracked, and you guessed it, uncompensated work.
Okay, so here's the core of it. Right now, data mostly exists as loose files. Just think of spreadsheets, images, text docs, just kind of floating around on servers and hard drives. They don't have clear ownership, they're not really tracked. And the consequence of that is huge. I mean, imagine you're a data annotator, and you spend weeks carefully labeling thousands of medical images. A few years later, that exact data set helps train a billion-dollar AI that diagnoses diseases, and you get nothing for that foundational work. Your contribution just vanishes, absorbed into the final product without a trace.
But what if we could flip that script? This brings us to the main event of this explainer, the idea of data becoming a true asset. And this new way of thinking is called assetification.
So what in the world is assetification? Well, it's the process of taking all those invisible, loose files we just talked about and turning them into something with real, tangible value. We're talking ownable, tradable, revenue-generating assets that are secured on a blockchain. It's basically about giving data an actual economic identity for the very first time.
This quote from the source material just nails the shift in thinking. Data stops being just an input, something you use up, and it becomes an economic substrate. What that really means is it's not just raw material anymore. It's the foundation itself, a foundation that you can prove you contributed to, that you can own a piece of, and that can reward you over and over again.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, first, data becomes discoverable. So instead of being locked away on some private server, it's out there in an open marketplace for people to find and use. Second, it becomes ownable. This is huge. Creators don't just get paid once. They can actually keep a small piece of ownership and earn royalties every single time their data is used. And finally, it becomes economic. All the usage is automatically tracked and paid for, creating this direct, unbreakable link between making a contribution and getting compensated for it.
Okay, so the concept is really powerful. But how does it actually work? Like, what's under the hood? Well, the whole system is really built on 5 core capabilities. Let's break them down.
First up is provenance. This just means every single contribution, no matter how small, gets recorded forever, creating a perfect, unchangeable audit trail. Second is ownership. It's fractional, which means everyone who contributed gets a proportional slice of the pie. Third, licensing and metering. This is the automatic part that tracks who's using the data and sends out the royalty payments. Now, fourth is derivation, and this is fascinating. If someone builds a new AI model using this data, that new model automatically inherits the duty to pay royalties back to the original data creators. And fifth, privacy by design, which means all this can happen while the raw data itself stays secure and encrypted.
Now you might be sitting there thinking, okay, but why can't we just do all of this with a normal database? And that is a great question. It brings us to the tech backbone that makes all of this possible, blockchain.
This secret sauce here is something called trust-minimized record keeping. That's a fancy way of saying the blockchain provides a way to keep records without having to trust a single company to do the right thing. The system itself guarantees fairness through code and math, not just a corporate pinky promise.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. With a normal, centralized database, one company controls everything. They can change the records, they can change the rules, and your data is basically stuck on their platform. But with a blockchain, there is no single owner. The records are permanent and public for anyone to see. The data assets can be used across tons of different systems. And maybe most important of all, the rules for how you get paid are locked into the code itself, guaranteeing fair incentives for everybody.
All right, so let's zoom out. If we put all these pieces together, what does this future data economy actually look like? What's the big picture vision here?
Ultimately, the goal is to build a better system for everyone involved. The contributors, the people actually doing the work, are finally compensated fairly. And because of that, there's a real economic incentive to create higher quality data, which helps everybody. The whole AI ecosystem just gets healthier because the economics are transparent and everyone's interests are aligned. And of course, innovation just speeds up because now researchers and developers have this incredible world of high-quality, discoverable data assets to build with.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about every photo you've ever tagged online, every document you've written, every bit of digital stuff you've created. What if every single one of those contributions could build lasting, ownable value that belongs to you? That's the future that Assetification is trying to build.